Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much. Wherever you are, wherever you may be, we appreciate you for joining us for this first edition of Candid Conversations with Shawana. Of course, this is the first edition of 2021. So we're just excited to be here. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with a woman I have grown to love over an extended period of time. She is an absolute joy. She is a doctor, she is a mother, she is a wife. And again, she is a friend to many. So, Dr. Tiffany Hardaway, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. So, for the purposes of this interview, I wanted to talk to you about some really important work that you're doing that could not only impact where you live, but it really could be meaningful and impactful across the nation.
Yes, so I am a board member of an organization called Elevate Med, and we are a national organization. We are based here in Arizona, but we are a scholarship program designed to help underrepresented minorities in their medical school years and beyond, and pairing them with mentors, of course, offering really meaningful scholarship dollars and just giving them information they need to succeed in the medical careers.
Awesome. So, tell me, why was it important for you guys to do this work? What was the driving force behind this? What are some things that you've kind of seen along the way in terms of the work that you've been doing, even before this came about? Why is this so important?
So I'll start a little bit with the history of Elevate Med. Elevate Med was the brainchild of Dr. Alex Porter Umphrey. She is an African American neuro-oncologist, which is like a unicorn amongst unicorns. So, one, that she's African American. Secondly, obviously, that she is a woman. And so she found, as many of us found in our medical training, is that when you go to medical school, you see this large ticket item, which is tuition, outside of the other living expenses. And you think, well, I've made it this far. I've had, even a lot of us have had scholarships up to this point. I am currently debt free. And now I'm about to take on what may very well be $500,000 in debt to finish pursuing my dream. And so you're looking at other opportunities. How can I help finance this? Scholarships are very few and far between for medical school. And so it's not really the same type of thing that you have in undergraduate school or even graduate school in terms of securing funds. And so for many students, loans are the way that they have to go. So what our organization does is to try to help address healthcare disparities, which is a huge topic within itself. But many areas have a really low percentage of underrepresented minorities. And when I say that, for our organization, we consider underrepresented minorities to be African Americans, Native American or Pacific Islanders, and Latinx. So we are such a small number in the pool of physicians, particularly in specialties that are outside of primary care. So in terms of scholarship money, primary care specialties oftentimes can come with scholarships. So there are scholarships where you can work in underserved areas, so very rural areas or very urban areas, but they only take certain types of physicians, and understandably so. And then there is the military. And that usually is a 1 year for 1 year commitment, 1 year that they pay for, and 1 year that you have to serve. So those really are the two main options. And so for people who are going into specialties that have an extremely long training period, you've spent 10, 12 years after college working on a profession, and then to have to start off your career giving several years of service back, it can be a little bit challenging. And so what we are trying to do is to keep bright students who may have a particular interest, keep them from saying no to that interest purely based on finances.
Wow, that is so awesome. And I'm so happy that you talked about some of the disparities and some of the challenges many people who have a true desire for medicine face when it comes to the cost, right? Those are some of the
Right.
things that we don't always talk about, and how powerful and amazing it is that there is a national organization like Elevate Med to come along and kind of fill in some of those gaps. Tell me some of the successes or stories that you guys have um, been able to really help in again in ways for the underserved in many cases, I'm sure, help get through that process of med school and navigating the financial piece.
So we are a relatively new organization. We were started in 2019. So we have our initial cohort of scholars, which were chosen, excuse me, at the beginning of 2020, and those are 10 medical students. And we have 4 of those students who actually just graduated this past school year. So we'll really have a chance to follow those students once they have entered residency. We continue to offer mentorship to them, and we continue to offer them resources to help them to succeed further during the rest of their training. And then we are starting our search for the new cohort of scholars, which will be announced in March of this year. But so far, we have 10 phenomenal students who are, outside of being academically successful. Many of them have strong research backgrounds. Many of them have very broad resumes in terms of civic service, community service, and service in the medical field. And we really believe, outside of just helping those students, that increasing the number of minorities in the medical field helps everyone. It helps the patients who are able to see faces that look like theirs. It helps to address particular issues that there may be some cultural barriers that only, not to say only, but many people from the same cultures may understand better, may be able to communicate those things better. And just to help reestablish a lack of trust in the medical system, which is a long story within itself. But just to help get that communication back and that level of service back to the medical field.
That is so awesome. I am so proud. I'm sorry. I'm like a proud mother who really didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm just extremely proud. So I will ask you this. You mentioned mentoring, and that is such a critical part or piece of the equation that we don't often think about, especially when it comes to um, giving back to those who are quite possibly going to follow a similar path as ourselves, right? So,
Right.
tell me a little bit more about the mentoring piece. Is it that you all make yourselves available to those students who are in the different cohorts that come along, or are you spending very intentional time with them to lead them and guide them? What does the mentor piece look like?
So with Elevate Med, we have an entire group of potential mentors. And so when the students come into the program, they are provided with an assessment, kind of a needs assessment, and they're asked, what type of things are you looking for in a mentor? Because not everyone, say if you want to be a pediatrician, not everyone wants for their first mentor in this relationship to be a pediatrician. Maybe they're looking for someone who's the same gender, or someone who's from the same economic circumstances or familial circumstances, or whatever they feel like their priority number one is at that time. So after they've completed the needs assessment, we try to match them with mentors. So we have a pool of physicians, including your wonderful cousin, who have volunteered their time to provide one-on-one mentorship with the students. So they meet at least monthly and talk about whatever student needs might be, whether it's application to residency programs or being successful in medical school, or financial issues. Our mentorship program is a little bit separate from our financial literacy program, but there are overlaps there. So any questions that may come up for the students, and then we also give the students quarterly assessments asking, is this a good pairing for you? Would you like to have someone else? Not everyone is a good fit for another. So we try to meet the needs of the students where they are.
That just brings so much joy to my heart. Again, I'm having a proud parent. Sorry. And just so that everyone knows, Tiffany and I are the same age. It's just I'm just really excited and proud about the work that she mentioned my cousin. Yes, my cousin is also in the medical field. So my cousin, her husband, so we're all family. But I'm so excited and proud, and I'm even more excited about what's to come. I purposely wanted to interview you not just about your life story, which is really what Candid Conversations is about, but I wanted to interview you because you jumped in when you saw a need and you became a part of something that is very necessary and very important, in terms of like I said before, really filling in some of the gaps that exist. Because I'm certain that you saw some of those gaps and have seen many of those gaps along the way. So
Mhm.
I really want to thank you, Tiffany, for the work that you're doing. I will ask you this one last question. How can those of us who may not be in the medical field get involved with Elevate Med?
Oh, that's a great question. So you can get more information about Elevate Med and information about how to donate or how to participate on our website, which is elevatemed.org. Um, and if you want to reach out to Shawana, who is always able to contact me, I am happy to field questions or concerns in that regard as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany. I am so
Thank
grateful for
you.
you. You're so welcome. And kiss all of the family members for me. I know it's probably going to be a minute before we get to see each other, but um,
Unfortunately.
Zoom is good, and we have FaceTime and Facebook and all that jazz, so we can always keep in touch that way.
Right. Thank you so much again for having me.
You are so very welcome. So, guys, if you are interested, I am going to make sure that this information is posted on Candid Conversations with Shawana, which is on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube, Elevate Med, elevatemed.org. And listen, we got more stuff coming. I promise you, we got great stuff. We got great people to share their stories. So, until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day.